Hello friends, welcome back to Saujany's English class. And in today's class, we are going to learn about figures of speech part 2. These 8 figures of speech I discussed in my previous lesson on figures of speech. So figures of speech are words or phrases used in a non-literal sense. What is meant by non-literal sense? Which we don't mean exactly by the sense of the word. Okay. So they add kind of beauty to our language. It is just like the accessories that we wear to enhance our beauty. To beautify the language we use figures of speech. In this lesson, I will discuss anaphora, epistrophe, apostrophe, metonymy, and synecdoche. Okay, these 5 figures of speech we are going to learn in this lesson. First one is anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of the beginning words or phrases in successive clauses or sentences. Successive in the sense one after the other. For example, look at all the beginning words and phrases. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. This is an extract taken from Winston Churchill's speech. Anaphora is the repetition of the beginning words or phrases. See, it is mostly used in political speeches and all where there is a lot of stimulation or motivation or inspiration is needed. It is instilled among the masses, mob of people like that. Okay, so it is mainly used for the purpose of emphasizing things. Okay, so with this repetition of beginning words or phrases, we are emphasizing on the thought or idea or the concept. We shall fight in France, we shall fight on the seas and oceans, we shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. It kind of motivates the people to fight irrespective of the place, irrespective of the manner. And it also mentions growing confidence and growing strength in the air. It's kind of making them believe, okay, that they are doing it with a lot of confidence. So it is mostly used in political speeches where there is a lot of emphasis is needed to stimulate or motivate a large group of people. And then look at the second example. What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence or lawlessness, but love and wisdom, says Robert F. Kennedy in his powerful speech. So if you look at all these things, what we need in the United States is repeated 3 times over here, giving emphasis about what they need in the nation. Even in the simpler ones, like the apartment was on the top floor, a small living room, a small dining room, a small bedroom, and a bath. So this is the extract taken from The Great Gatsby. So here a small is given emphasis over here, emphasizing on the size of that apartment actually. Okay, so look at the next example. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. So this is the extract taken from A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So it was the is repeated here. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And here we had everything before us and we had nothing before us. So these are kind of contradictory ideas. It was only the best of times, worst of times, and we had everything before us and nothing before us. So these are two contradictory ideas. When audience listen to this kind of thing, or when readers go through this kind of phrases, immediately they come back and read it again or listen to it again. So that sort of urge in the audience or readers is created with the help of these anaphora, epistrophe, like that. Okay, this kind of, they come under repetition only, but they are mostly used for the sake of emphasis. If you look at its opposite one, epistrophe. So the repetition of words or phrases at the end of successive phrases, clauses, or sentences. Anaphora is at the beginning and epistrophe is at the end. Okay, repetition occurs at the end of the successive phrases, clauses, or sentences. Look at the examples. First one, there is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There is the United States of America. So it is most motivational speech by Barack Obama. So here what he is saying is all the people who live in America are one and the same, irrespective of their race, their color, or whatever differences they are. Okay, so everything comes under one roof, that is the United States of America. So this kind of political speeches use this kind of repetitions. Repetition at the beginning, that is anaphora. Repetition at the end of the clauses, that is epistrophe. It kind of gives emphasis. And look at the second one. And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth, says Abraham Lincoln about democracy. Okay, so of the people, by the people, for the people. Emphasis on the government for whom. Okay, and then this is from this extract is taken from the Bible. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. And I thought as a child. Okay, so as innocent as a child. Okay, so this kind of repetitions provide emphasis. Anaphora and epistrophe are mainly used for emphasizing concepts, ideas, or whatever. Apostrophe. See, by listening to this name, you will get confused. Apostrophe is punctuation mark, right? But here in literary devices also we see apostrophe. ASTS, we have apostrophe in figures of speech as well. And it is addressing a non-living object, an idea, or a dead person as if it is living. So with this definition, you understand that it is a form of personification. Personification is attributing human characteristics to non-living object, an idea, or a dead person as well. Okay, so here apostrophe does it in a different way. It is simply addressing. Okay, we don't use it in any other part of the sentence, only to address a non-living object, an idea, or a dead person as if it is a living thing. For example, life, I have never understood you. So life is an idea actually. Okay, it is an abstract idea. And then, oh dear laptop, I appreciate your patience. Of course, laptop is a non-living object. We all know that. Dear eyes, am I seeing the truth? So here the thing, what I am seeing is totally incredible for me, unbelievable for me. My dear car, please don't trouble me on the way. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth. This is an extract taken from Julius Caesar. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. This is a poem written by Jane Taylor, which has become more popular as a nursery rhyme. So here, if you observe all these examples, here in the first sentence, life is addressed. It is an abstract idea. Laptop is addressed, a non-living object. Dear eyes, am I seeing the truth? What I mean here is what I see is totally unbelievable for me. And my dear car, a non-living object. And here, thou bleeding piece of earth. So here, Antonio is referring to the dead body of Julius Caesar, which is lying on the earth over there. And then twinkle, twinkle, little star. So here in this phrase, little star is addressed, which is a non-living object. So apostrophe is simply addressing a non-living object, an idea, or a dead person to create a kind of dramatic effect on what we want to say. And the fourth one, metonymy, a term used to represent an object or a concept. What is this object or a concept? Let us see the examples to understand it in a better way. My love, I have given you my heart. So what is this? Have I taken out my heart and given to my love? See, I have already told you in the beginning itself, figures of speech are used in a non-literal sense. So they don't make any sense in the literal form. So My love, I have given you my heart. In the sense, heart, in the sense, my whole love is given to you. That is what is a concept over here. A concept. Okay. And then tell me about your first day of school. I'm all ears. What does it mean? I am all ears. See, I am very much interested to learn what has happened in your first day of school. All ears in the sense, I'm ready to listen to with lots of interest. And then the party will be interesting. The top brass are invited. Who are these top brass? Top brass are the elite people in the society. And then their previous neighbor was quite the silver fox. Now, who is this? The silver fox. A very attractive older man. Okay, he is referred to as the silver fox. So, this is the term. See, these are all terms used for representing an object or a concept. If you observe carefully, you will see that in the examples. The pen is mightier than the sword. Edward Bulwer Lytton says that in his play. So the pen here represents the written words, okay, are really stronger, really forceful, powerful than the sword. What is meant by the sword over here? Military, okay. And then our system needs some new blood. What is this? New blood. Not in the literal sense, of course, figuratively. New blood in the sense, new people, younger people with new ideas. Then her new chicken dish was the main attraction of the night. What is dish over here? I'm not talking about the vessel that contained something. Dish here in the sense which included so many ingredients. And the final product I'm calling as a dish. Dish is the term used for all those ingredients used in that particular dish. Okay, not the vessel I'm talking about. So metonymy is naming, renaming something, renaming an object or a concept. Okay, and then our last one, synecdoche. Its pronunciation is synecdoche. So this is the usage of words where the parts represent the whole or the whole represents the parts. Okay, if the parts represent the whole, we call it as microcosm, and the whole represents parts, we call it as macrocosm. Okay, let us not go into all those details. Let us learn what this synecdoche is with the help of examples. I saw some boots parading on the streets. So here boots represent soldiers. Okay, so here part representing whole soldiers. Entire race of soldiers we are calling as boots. And then he is the breadwinner of their family. What is meant by bread over here? Everything that is related to food or everything that is related to the household management, financial management. Okay, so bread here, a part representing the whole. The government has announced the new educational policy. What do you mean by the government? Entire people, whoever is working in the government, haven't announced the new educational policy, right? One person has announced it. So here, if the whole is used to represent the part, okay, one small part, that is a single person who has announced the new educational policy. And then, have you seen my glasses? What are these glasses? Glasses represent the entire spectacles, okay, the rim and all, what are all the micro parts are included over there, okay. So glasses in the sense, not literally glasses only, entire spectacles, okay. So here part representing the whole. Give me some coke, I am thirsty. So here, what is meant by coke here? Any carbonated drink, not only coke, any carbonated drink, okay. So here part representing the whole. The grey beard I met at the park turned out to be my uncle. So what is meant by grey beard here? Grey beard is nothing but an old man. Okay, so not only his beard, entire old man turned out to be my uncle. Grey beard is actually a part representing the whole. So synecdoche is usage of words where parts represent the whole or the whole represents the parts. Okay, so these are all five figures of speech that we have learned in this lesson. Hope you all have understood it. Let us proceed to our simple quiz. Find out the figures of speech in the following. Don't worry, he is in good hands. Children, go to bed now. Oh dear night, make me asleep quickly. There is no Negro problem. There is no Southern problem. There is no Northern problem. There is only an American problem. It rained on his lousy tombstone. It rained on the grass on his stomach. It rained all over the place. So these are 5 sentences. Fourth and fifth one are small passages. So this is our simple quiz, dears. You will understand if you go through the sentences or passage one more time, you will definitely understand which figure of speech is used in what sentence. Okay, so this is our lesson for the day, dears. Meet you soon with another interesting video. Bye for now. Thank you so much for being with me.